Hello and welcome to CHB TV. Here we're at the Hog Shack down in Steveston. I'm joined by Richard Loat and JJ Guerrero. My name is Matt Lee, and let's get right to the hot button issue right now. The Vancouver Canucks swung a deal for David Booth yesterday. The terms of the deal are the Vancouver Canucks sent Michael Samuelsson and Marco Sturm over to Florida in exchange for David Booth, Steven Reinprecht, and a third-round pick in 2013. Let's get the first reaction from JJ. JJ, what are your thoughts on this deal?
Well, I think the Canucks are taking a pretty big risk here. David Booth's at 30 goals scored at one point, but he's also got some injury issues, right? So we'll see what kind of player the Canucks get. Florida obviously wants a dump salary. He's due to make $4.25 million for the next 4 years, including this year. And Reinprecht, he's getting paid $2 million to play in the AHL.
Okay, and Richard, what are your thoughts?
You know what, I think David Booth's a guy that needs a new environment. You know, the Canucks have an environment and a culture of winning, but it's extremely competitive to earn a spot on the second line where we expect and hope David Booth to play. And I think that competition is really going to spark him and get him back up to that 30-goal plateau, which I think will be great playing along Higgins, who I think is poised to have a huge year. You know, definitely hit the 20-goal plateau for the first time in 3 years, and you know, Kessler's just in his prime right now. So I think it's great for the Canucks. Booth's got years and age on his side, so hopefully that pans out for the Canucks.
Early reaction is that the Vancouver Canucks make out like bandits in this trade, despite the fact that they're getting a guy in David Booth who's missed 54 games with a concussion problem before. And you think about it, the Vancouver Canucks sent Michael Samuelsson and Marco Sturm the other way. They picked up Marco Sturm in the free agency on July 1st for a $2.2 million price tag. Michael Samuelsson was making $2.5 million this year, and he's a guy who's recovering from abdominal surgery. So you think about it, the Canucks traded two 34 and 35-year-old guys to get a 26-year-old who's got a lot of potential. JJ, your question. Do you believe that David Booth can get back to that 30-goal pace?
Well, I think that's what we're hoping for, right? If you think about it, Samuelsson missed a lot. The Canucks got him mainly for playoff leadership, and you can argue that he's done that already. He's been around for a couple of years. He played a big role in the Canucks playoff run a couple of years ago, and I'd say that he taught the Sedins some on how to be better leaders and that sort of stuff. But you hit the nail right on the head there. I mean, they're older players. The Canucks wanted to get younger. If the Canucks are going to sign someone to $4 million multi-year kind of contracts, you want that player to be in the same age range as the rest of the core. And David Booth's only 26, like he said. When he's healthy, he's a really good power forward. He skates like the wind. He wins puck battles. So yeah, I mean, there's a really good chance that hopefully he'll go back to 30 goal, that level that made him a 30-goal scorer.
Richard, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think it'll take long for David Booth to establish some chemistry with Ryan Kessler, who they're childhood friends?
Well, they've got some chemistry going back, and I think one of the things that actually I like about Booth, which will play to and complement sort of the skills of Kessler and Higgins, is that he likes to shoot. The Canucks don't have a lot of players that shoot first, ask questions later, and I think that will prompt the chemistry. Kessler's that great playmaker, and alongside Higgins, that speed, all of a sudden we might be seeing something much more coming from the second line.
On paper, it looks like Ryan Kessler will center a line between Chris Higgins as well as David Booth. Who does this affect in terms of ice time and on that second line? Obviously, Cody Hodgson comes up in this equation. He was previously on the second line, but however was benched in the third period last night versus Minnesota. JJ, what do you think is going to happen? And let's factor Mason Raymond into this equation as well. What happens when he comes back?
Well, that should be really interesting. I mean, Mason Raymond's supposed to be back sometime in November, so that's coming up pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, the easy answer to that is Hodgson's probably going to see a decrease in ice time, whether he's going to play in the third line or the fourth line, or he could go back to the AHL. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he's got some maturing to do. He needs to work on his game. He missed 1 year of development, remember, and I think one more year in the AHL wouldn't be a bad thing for him. He'll get a chance to play some really big minutes, certainly more than the 9 minutes a game that he's getting right now.
Richard, your reaction?
You know what? One thing that stands out to me is contract lengths. I don't see any value in putting Hodgson in the bottom six, so you got to put him in the top six. And looking at the guys that make up the center and the wings, they've got long-term contracts. So do you just keep Hodgson, tow him around for a few years while guys like Kessler hunker down on the second? I don't think you do it. My mind, I think Hodgson's days in Vancouver are limited.
My last question to you guys. Are you convinced that this is a permanent second-line wing solution right now with the acquisition of David Booth, or is this just an educated gamble that Mike Gillis had to take?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, right? I mean, if Booth does go back to 30-goal form, then yeah, it is a permanent thing. He's signed for 4 years, right? So hopefully there is that chemistry there. Otherwise, you know, the one thing we've seen with Mike Gillis is he's never satisfied. Every year that he's been here, he's made some moves, big or small, when he's not satisfied with how his team's performing. Like you said, Marco Sturm just signed the offseason, gave him a few games, wasn't working out, got rid of him. So we'll see how it goes. But, you know, if there is chemistry between Booth and Kessler and Higgins, why would you break it up?
So, Richard, is this a permanent second line we're seeing here with Kessler, Higgins, and Booth?
I think actually JJ really nailed it when he said Gillis operates like a revolving door, and I think that's what makes this such a winning team and keeps that competition high. To that end, one thing to keep in mind is Booth has a no movement clause that kicks in next year, so I think he's got some time to prove himself. But that said, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't cutting it, if he didn't pan out, if Gillis decided to ship him off before his clause kicks in next year.
We'll keep our fingers crossed to see if this All-American trio can get it together on the Canucks second line. But on behalf of JJ Guerrero, Richard Loat, and myself, Matt Lee, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Well, Richard is about to tackle the flatline burger here at the Hog Shack, and that's pretty big because that's 2 grilled cheese sandwiches, 2 beef patties.
That's what she said. Shut up.
If Richard's a smart guy, he'll start with the salad first and just sort of smush it together and just sort of